Hello, and welcome to a T2RL Talks conference special, in which we're looking at some of the issues that will be on the table at the T2RLEngage conference in London in September. And today I have with me Shawn Richards, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Inc. Innovation. Inc. is a fascinating company that I first came across about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's one of the companies that is making the most of new technologies to bring some fresh thinking to the world of delivery systems or departure control systems as we knew them in the old world. So Shawn, good morning and welcome to T2RL Talks.
Good morning, Ian. Thank you very much for having me on.
And thank you for participating in this and also for agreeing to participate in the conference in September, where I think we will have a fascinating conversation. I want to just maybe give a little bit of background on Inc. Maybe you could introduce that, Shawn. As I say, I first came across you 6 or 7 years ago, but maybe give a very quick history of Inc. and your place in the world of delivery systems.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, we've been around for quite a while now, I think since about 2003, something like that, but reincorporated in Spain around 2011. We provide hardware and software systems as well as some services to airlines, airports, ground handlers. As a matter of fact, I think our biggest first customer was Menzies Aviation. So we cut our teeth doing the tough stuff with ground handling, and then started with our next biggest customer, which was Jet2, around 2012, something like that. So, we've ridden that rocket ship as they've grown and established themselves a bit more. And then eventually we did a type of partnership with Radix and then Sabre. And then that kind of brings us through to today. So we have a kind of well-rounded view of dealing with airlines and different airports of different sizes, but very much on the operational side of things. The company itself has grown from initial founders, me and my wife, Janet, through to about 110 people or so now. We're headquartered in Spain, have some people out in Colombia and so on. So it's a great, exciting time right now.
Yeah, and I can certainly vouch for the fact that you're headquartered in Spain. I was very happy to come down and visit you earlier this year in Alicante, where I had a very good day with you. Um, I want to ask you about your vision for the future of delivery systems and how the adoption of some more modern technology in the airline space around offers and orders presents an opportunity for delivery systems to go a lot further than maybe traditional departure control systems have, and provide more value to airlines who use them.
Yeah, sure. I think it's quite easy to see that the industry is at an inflection point. It's one that many people have lobbied for a long time, that things should be different. A lot of people in the industry can see the world changing around them, but a lot of the processes that exist today are, I'd say, decades old. I was just thinking back, looking at the business model, the business processes that happen today, apart from maybe biometrics or something like that. It's very hard to say that the process, and that includes e-tickets, don't really change. The more that you go back more decades, you actually see it's the same operational model, the same commercial model, and offer orders an opportunity to break from that. Now, I think where my particular company's operations and the place where we contribute around delivery is, I think, a quite key opportunity for the industry to do this, or to take this as an inflection point and say, well, this how we want operations to be as well. There are a number of working groups and initiatives to try to modernize things, but they tend to stay in this box, and the box is kind of defined by business models, operating models. So even if you may change some procedures and update some procedures, update some tech, at the end of the day, you're living in a certain boundary, and offer order and even delivery at this moment gives us a chance to look at how that is and redefine it. So I think some business models can be changed. Let's say they can be broken and then put back together, because I think the key thing with offer order is it's not just an evolution of the old GDS model. It's actually a different model. And in delivery, I think we have an opportunity to make a new model. We can give more value to the passenger, create more value for airlines, and make it clearer why they should move to this model. And the delivery part of it, which is the facilitation part, should not just be an add-on. It should not be an afterthought. It should actually play a key role in how the industry right sizes itself for the next decade or two.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on that because I think one of the elements of your vision is that the paradigm that we've had in the industry for 50 years, that commercial processes take you to maybe a day before departure, and then some operational system picks up on that for the airport environment. You don't see it that way. You think that deliver can play a role from pretty much as soon as an order's been created.
Yeah, so you were talking about vision. We see delivery as an opportunity to broaden the scope of operations. It is mainly a delivery process. It's mainly an operational process. So it does have to get certain things right. The correct people must be on the plane, the correct bags must be on the plane, and the plane must be safe to depart, load control and other processes. But we see delivery as something that really can start as soon as the first order, the main order, is created. Because the typical thing is to sell someone the right to fly. So you can call it a PNR, you can call it an order, you can call it what you like. Essentially, they are creating a contract to be taken from point A to B. Once that is done, there's an opportunity to do more. At the moment, a lot of that just tends to be marketing and the odd email or offer or something like that to do a bit more. But I think there's an opportunity to understand the traveler better and not just have delivery as something that is minus 24 hours just happening in the airport. And so much of the departure control model is based on that. It's the journey through the airport, when actually there are gaps in the process that the passenger feels, and the passenger ends up having to be the one to bridge these silos. So if they need some extra servicing, if they want some extra servicing, it's really not so easy to buy that, to get that. And for the airline, which let's call the airline the key facilitator, to even understand what's happening in the airport at a passenger level, there are disconnects between what someone should have, what they could have. And I think a new delivery model can address that. Start earlier, finish later, and join up more data, connect more data.
So would I be right in sort of summarizing that to say that the delivery process should really start from the moment an order is created?
Well, it could do, because if it doesn't, and we certainly are engineering that within our own company, if it doesn't, then there's a potential gap there. Now, that gap can be filled by conscientious airlines that have a very close relationship with their passengers because they have maybe an app, a profile of some sort, which is probably more membership based or loyalty points or loyalty scheme based. So they may understand those passengers. But if delivery doesn't take the opportunity to start at that point, then airlines that are maybe not so good at linking up the relationship with the passenger from the point they create the order till the point where they are ready to fly, then I think we're missing a trick there. And by thinking in a departure control way, of course, you're only thinking minus 24, minus 72, and that's it. But why can't it be minus 6 months? Why can't it be minus 3 months? Is the airline taking care of the traveler? or is the delivery system. So delivery is an opportunity to cast a much wider net and make sure there are no gaps that the passenger then has to fill in their servicing and knowledge of what's going on. A very quick example of what can fall into that gap is branded disruption. So disruption tends to be thought of as something happening within minus 24. But if it's happening minus 3 weeks, is that still disruption? I think some will still class it disruption. It's actually just changing the order. It's changing the order because of operational things that are going on. So how can we just make sure that the passenger doesn't end up in this quote unquote disruption phase where it's actually more of an exception has occurred, and they may have generated that exception, something may have happened to generate it, but you don't want the passenger to be lost.
Yeah. A big part of what airlines anticipate Offer and Order will bring them is the ability to sell a wide range of services beyond just the flight, and many of those services will come from third-party vendors. And I think in your vision, the delivery system will have a big role to play in coordinating the sale and then delivery of third-party products alongside the airline core flight segments and so on. Maybe talk a little bit about how you visualize interfacing with those third-party vendors.
Yeah, absolutely. So an airline has huge costs, as we know, planes, fuel, people, and its opportunity to offset those costs are just at the ticket sale. That's the main amount of money that they get in. So it's only right that they need to concentrate on that. Now, of course, there are some airlines that make a significant amount of money in ancillaries, but when you get into full service, a lot is bundled. So that sale needs to be slick. It needs to be all encompassing, and they need to get it right. Once the initial sale is done, that doesn't mean that the system and the process that did that initial sale or the channel that did that initial sale is the best channel to keep enhancing that order, enhancing that journey. And we see delivery as a key player in being able to bring, let's call it noise, okay? There are so many people, so many organizations that want to get into aviation, but an airline has to concentrate on what it does best. So the question is, does an airline want to deal with this noise? And these are commercial opportunities, by the way, but they may not warrant being initiated during the core buying process, but it may make more sense to bring it to the table later on. Now, many low-cost carriers have done this already. If you try to check in, they give you lots of different orders to the point where you just wonder like what's actually happening here. I think the industry is changing, and they are just leading the fact that it's not just car rentals, it's not just hotels, but it's experiences. Many others want to get into this process. And we see delivery as a very important noise filter, a very important firewall to be able to allow the airline to do its core business, but still not lose these opportunities. Now, that we think is a quite radical departure from where departure control systems are seen to fit. We should just get on with printing boarding passes and bag tags, and that's it. But actually, there's so much more retailing that starts with ancillaries, starts with extra bags, starts with lounges, but it can end anywhere.
Okay, so some people, certainly around the IATA product definition process, have made the case that this kind of stuff should go into order management. It should be the order management system that handles all of this stuff. What's your thinking behind putting it into delivery?
Well, I think the view that it should be kept out of delivery is both right and wrong. So it just depends on who you're talking to and who's doing the talking. There is no suggestion that by doing other processes or assisting with other processes, that there should be a diversion, a distraction away from the core operational government messaging, safety related, accounting, conciliation processes. So let's not just assume they're being done. Let me say they are absolutely being done and they absolutely have to be done. On top of that, we are not suggesting that a departure control system is now a retailing system. It may or may not be very tightly linked to the core order management system. It just depends on what's the business model, how many what types of transactions need to be shown in the main OMS, or should there be some transactions in a different OMS? There's nothing within the model that says you need to have one OMS for everything. So the idea that by doing more commercials or more commercial processes means a choice of either or, like many things in life, I don't like choosing either or. I like choosing both, because there are going to be some people, and I think, Ian, we've already been in some conversations with some airlines where they are very, very strong on saying, we don't want delivery to be anything else but delivery. And then others have said exactly the opposite. So I think we need to be able to give airlines the flexibility to define what they want to do when and how, but not set up a model that's so strictly defined that there is no flexibility and delivery, again, just falls into another box that I'm talking about. And then you do get the opportunity for gaps. Now, does that mean that delivery needs to be an OMS or have its own OMS? It just depends on the execution and what the airline wants to see, what the airline wants to do. But I think and in this phase, we are defining how the industry should work. We're going beyond the theory into more implementation, and large vendors have their own views of how it should be implemented. But I think it is very important to have a diversity in terms of what those viewpoints should be to give airlines choice and passengers choice.
I think that's really, really significant. One of the big drivers for the transformation to offer, order, settle, deliver is to increase the flexibility and increase the ability for airlines to select more modular solutions and to select the right solution for their airline, rather than being constrained into traditional PSS. That for all the great successes of traditional PSSs, they are somewhat constrained in flexibility. So I think this is something that's really important. It's something that is being brought out in the report that you and I are collaborating on, and which will be published in the next few weeks. I hope it's also going to be a feature of the conversation at T2RLEngage in September, where Shawn and I will be on the stage taking this conversation to the next step. I hope that everyone who's listening to us today will be able to join us in London at the QE2 Conference Centre at the end of September. And I hope that you've appreciated the conversation with Shawn as I have, and you'll join us for the next edition of T2RL Talks. So thank you very much, Shawn, and thank you to you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ian. Thanks a lot.